Juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
So it is important in times like these to have a distraction. And that's why I want to personally extend my gratitude to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
It's intensely personal. It's getting more personal. They're going to discover more information that's going to make them angry. They're out to salvage their reputation, so there's not going to be an easy way to walk away from this and say, okay, let's just call it a day.
They say the higher you climb, the harder the fall. And nowhere is that more brutally clear than in Hollywood. Lately, Blake Lively's world has been flipped upside down by a scandal so explosive, even her biggest fans are in shock.
Judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request.
And the court said no.
If you thought you'd heard all the Hollywood drama there is, buckle up, because this meltdown is just getting started. By the way, if you enjoy getting the real scoop on these controversies,
breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Every time someone subscribes, I can afford a little more coffee to keep digging up the truth. The spark that lit the fire. At first, it all seemed like a standard legal filing. Two famous personalities in a messy dispute. But almost overnight, rumors swirled that Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's courtroom battle had escalated beyond normal Hollywood bickering.
Intensely personal. It's getting more personal. They're going to discover more information that's going to make them angry. They're out to salvage their reputation, so there's not going to be an easy way to walk away from this and say, okay, let's just call it a day.
Some even claimed that hidden recordings and shocking allegations were about to hit the public eye. And then, out of nowhere, whispers grew louder that the couple who always seemed so picture-perfect, Blake and Ryan, were at the center of a deliberate campaign to quash Baldoni's career. The over-the-top legal demands.
Not able to hold a logical thought, but guess what? I, as a judge, I am able to hold logical thoughts. So we're going to slap that down. You obviously cannot do
Before anyone could figure out what was happening, Blake's legal team reportedly pushed for some truly eye-popping demands. They wanted phone records, emails, possibly even location data stretching back years, enough to make the average fan wonder if they were trying to star in their own spy thriller.
You know, so I think there could be some argument about whether it was leaked and shouldn't have been leaked and should they have the information or what it may be. But no matter what happens, this is a damning quote.
People inside the courtroom apparently described these demands as aggressive, overreaching, and downright puzzling. Naturally, the judge was less than amused. Hollywood loves drama, but real courts don't have time for fishing expeditions. Courtroom Showdown. Tensions came to a head when Judge Lyman slammed the gavel on Blake's wild requests. Witnesses say the atmosphere in the courtroom turned icy. Blake Lively, usually poised and charismatic, was visibly struggling to maintain composure.
It is so clear Blake's case is falling apart. She's destroying her cred. Ryan Reynolds, too.
Some reported she leaned in close to her attorneys, whispering furiously, as though she couldn't believe the judge was rejecting her claims. It was a sharp contrast to the glitz and glam we're used to seeing on the red carpet. In that sterile courtroom, there was no script to follow, just a real judge delivering real consequences.
Judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request for 2.5 years worth of every message that Justin Baldoni and Justin Heath and the PR agents have ever sent to everybody, plus location data. We knew that was going to happen.
And if you think that's where the humiliation ended, think again. The leaked audio bombshell. Not long after, a leaked audio recording burst into the public sphere, igniting a firestorm. In this clip, supposedly captured during a private conversation, top Hollywood insiders casually discussed blacklisting Justin Baldoni at Blake and Ryan's request.
Distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for.
Suddenly, what seemed like a straightforward legal fight morphed into a swirling vortex of accusations, sabotage, hidden agendas, and maybe a few big names pulling strings behind the scenes. For anyone who thought this was just a petty argument between celebrities, the recording felt like a bomb going off. If true,
Lively obtained all of these text messages through subpoena. Okay, what's subpoena? You can only issue a subpoena if you have an open legal case. So you have to have a valid legal case. I can't just issue a subpoena to, the New York Times.
It exposed a darker side of Hollywood where power can make or break careers with a single phone call. Allies disappear and a former CIA agent appears. After that bombshell hit, the Hollywood A-list, often so quick to rally around each other, fell eerily silent. People started asking, where's Ryan in all this? Where are Blake's usual celebrity friends? One by one, they seemed to vanish from the conversation, leaving Blake to fend for herself.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video now that it's out and kind of spin it in a different direction.
Then came the rumor that she'd hired Nick Shapiro, a former CIA operative, to manage her PR crisis. That's when folks realized just how high the stakes really were. It's one thing to bring in a standard PR firm, but ex-intelligence? This was no ordinary damage control strategy.
They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
This was nuclear-level crisis management. Meanwhile, social media was aflame with comments pointing out the irony. For someone claiming to want justice, Blake was going to extraordinary lengths to lock down information.
It just blows my mind how dumb Blake Lively's team is, and how just, I guess, egocentric, maniacal that she thinks that she can tell the world, you didn't see what you actually saw with your eyes. It's insane.
Some called it hypocrisy. Others saw it as desperation. All the while, the public's fascination grew. If you saw the meltdown in the courtroom, you couldn't help but wonder, what on earth would happen next? Hollywood's reaction and reputation fallout. That's where the real iceberg started to show. Industry insiders hinted that a few key people, directors, producers, even longtime Blake allies, were quietly backing away.
This is the audio Blake and Ryan's agent seemingly didn't want you to hear.
I wonder if you could tell us about a little bit of a mess that I gather you've been involved in.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going with this one.
Do you have notes on it?
Oh yeah. Those are the two things I said to myself.
The reasoning? They smelled trouble. Rumors surfaced of folks refusing to testify or speak publicly, fearing what Blake could do to their careers. Whether that's fair or just more gossip is anyone's guess. But in Hollywood, perception is everything. And the perception now was that Blake Lively might be more trouble than she's worth. Instead of championing her innocence, the Tinseltown crowd has largely stepped aside.
I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public?
Letting the meltdown continue without comment. Yet the biggest shock was that none of this deterred Justin Baldoni. If anything, it seemed to embolden him. He kept pushing forward, his legal team scoring a major victory when the judge effectively ruled that everything, yes, everything, could soon be out in the open.
I think we're seeing now with this quote is WME absolutely got rid of him because of these things that were said. And so now he's got a clear line to get damages for.
That leads to the next chapter of this debacle, a move that even the savviest Hollywood publicist can't spin, the next hearing and public audio stream. When news broke that the court would allow a live audio feed for the next proceedings, jaws dropped.
Blake says she's so glad they did, but now she wants all other footage to not come forward. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, you go, girl.
Lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
Suddenly, the drama that had played out in half-secret legal briefs would get a public spotlight. No more hiding behind hush-hush protective orders or insider deals. Now, anyone with an internet connection could listen in on the meltdown as it happens. Observers say that's precisely what Blake's team feared most, real, unfiltered transparency.
Finally, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general.
This dispute, these words that were said by Lively side had a clear, immediate negative impact on Baldoni's career.
It's one thing to battle accusations in a closed forum where you control the spin. It's another to have your courtroom showdown broadcast for the entire world, with no glamorous camera angles or helpful PR edits.
And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so. And it's not, it's better than work.
If you have somebody who has a significant amount of power in the industry and has the ability to tell stars not to go on your podcast in the future, and has general ability to make life uncomfortable for you and ask for a favor, you're more inclined to do it, right?
One thing is painfully clear. This scandal has thrown Blake Lively's once untouchable image into freefall. Overnight, she went from charming Hollywood starlet to the center of a swirling controversy that grows stranger by the day.
That was what the fight was over.
So Blake Lively, her team wanted to have a rubber stamp that said attorney's eyes only, and they wanted to use it in their discretion on any document they wanted.
Yeah.
And that presumably would make it an attorney's eyes only designation unless...
Is this the turning point that unravels years of secret power moves in Hollywood? Or will some last-minute twist salvage her reputation? Only time and perhaps that live audio feed will tell. If you want to be front and center for the next bombshell, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every single sub helps me stock up on more coffee, which I'll definitely need to keep up with this relentless Hollywood roller coaster. Until next time, stay curious and brace yourself for whatever comes next, because this story is far from over.